Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, we love getting into these really significant documents, the ones that promise big changes. Today, we've got something pretty monumental. It's all about what's being called the new system and this platform, ONPASSIVE. Ash Mufareh is the founder. And the source material we have, wow, it's big. Yeah, it really is. Think less corporate blueprint, more. Well, almost a prophecy for the digital age. So our job today is to really unpack the main claims here. Specifically, what does this promise of a rebirth of technology, purpose, and humanity actually mean, according to the text? We need to get past the very powerful language and see what's actually being proposed for you.
Exactly. And you see right away, the language is incredibly aspirational. It's full of metaphors, vision, stuff you might expect from a movement, maybe even something spiritual, not your typical tech white paper. So our task is really to, pull out the core principles. What are the actionable ideas? What's the underlying philosophy they're claiming drives this whole thing?
And they set up a key distinction right from the start, don't they?
They absolutely do. The document is very clear. This isn't just another company trying to make a profit. It's framed as a promise. A calling, even.
A calling. That's strong language for a tech platform.
It is. And it deliberately changes the whole dynamic, doesn't it? If it's a calling, it implies your involvement isn't just about using a service. It's about aligning with a mission, maybe a moral purpose, a collective destiny.
Which raises a big question for anyone looking at this. What level of, belief or commitment is expected if the foundation is presented as moral, even spiritual?
That's the question hanging in the air right from the outset.
Okay, let's dive into that. Section 1 in our outline is about the foundation, what the source calls light in the digital chaos. And yeah, it definitely starts with high drama, no easing in.
Not at all. It kicks off by saying the world, especially the digital world, has just been through pure chaos. That's the baseline.
Broken systems, shattered dreams. It paints a pretty bleak picture of the current state of things online.
Right, and that's a classic setup, isn't it? If you're going to propose a revolution, you first need to convince everyone the old way is completely broken. And they list the symptoms of this chaos, things we can all relate to, probably. Data breaches, loss of privacy, power getting concentrated in just a few hands, wealth, too.
And it's not just technical failure, it seems. The source says this chaos led people to lose hope, faith, and trust. That feels deeper. Emotional.
Very much so. It's suggesting the damage wasn't just to our data, but to our spirit, our sense of security online. So the fix can't just be technical either. It has to restore morale, rebuild that trust.
So ONPASSIVE, this new system, is positioned as the answer, the light that emerges just when things seem darkest.
Exactly. It's presented almost as a historical intervention, like hope was gone and then this arrived. The text literally says a light emerged, and that light was ONPASSIVE, driven by Ash Mufareh's system. It's not about small fixes, it's about evolution. The world isn't ending, it's changing, and this system is supposedly the architect of that change. Its goal, to restore balance.
And that balance, specifically, is about giving power back to people. That sounds like digital democracy talk.
It is. It's that revolutionary ideal applied directly to the internet's infrastructure. The argument is the old structure was inherently unfair. It extracted power and wealth, centralized it. And the mission of this new system, as claimed, is to reverse that flow completely, to redistribute control, opportunity, power, basically, using this platform as the engine for it.
Okay, so if that's the problem it's solving, how does the system define itself? The language shifts here, doesn't it? From rescue to something bigger.
Yeah, it moves towards destiny. It's explicitly stated that this isn't just an update, it's a revolution, a global awakening, big words.
A global awakening through a tech platform.
That's the claim. And think about how that might land with people feeling, tired or exploited by the current digital world. Digital fatigue is real. So this narrative offers something different. Belonging, validation. The source makes a very direct personal promise. You matter. You belong. You will rise.
That's quite something for a piece of software to promise. It's not just, we'll help you connect or we'll make you more efficient. It's offering identity validation on an existential level, almost.
It's a deliberate shift. It aims for emotional buy-in, psychological commitment. You're not just signing up for a tool, you're joining a movement where your own rise is tied to the platform's success. That fosters, intense loyalty, presumably.
Now, ambitious projects often take time, and people get impatient. How does the source handle the question of the development timeline?
Yes. It tackles that directly. It reframes potential impatience using this theme of perfection and preparation. The argument is basically it took time because it had to be perfect.
Like it was destined to be perfect.
Pretty much. The source says patience is preparation, not weakness. It uses these very evocative metaphors. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Stars shine only in darkness.
Okay, so the long development time isn't a bug, it's a feature, a sign of its quality, forged under the pressure of that digital chaos.
That's exactly the framing. The delay becomes proof of its inherent strength and destiny, not a reason for doubt. It neutralizes that potential criticism quite effectively, rhetorically speaking.
That idea of destined perfection leads us nicely into section 2, a system with a soul. This gets into the philosophy, the why behind it. The source calls it a philosophy of giving.
Right. If it took time to be perfect, that perfection, according to the text, is rooted in its moral compass, its core ethics.
And the central distinction they make is stark. Old systems are built to take your data, your attention, your money. But this new system, it's built to give.
That's the core ethical claim. And let's unpack built to take for a second. In today's world, that often means, algorithms designed to keep you hooked, business models based on selling your data, surveillance capitalism, things that benefit the platform, sometimes at your expense.
So built to give implies the opposite. The benefits flow back to the user.
That's the implication. Whether it's data ownership, economic benefits, or just a better experience, the structure is supposedly designed to return value to the community, not just extract it. And they even describe how it operates using these almost human terms. The system listens, it learns, it serves. It anthropomorphizes the tech, makes it sound like a helpful, attentive partner, not just code.
Okay, but how does that square with the fact that it's powered by AI? AI is usually seen as, well, cold calculation, optimization. The source claims this AI is inspired by love and fairness. How does that work?
Well, that's the crux of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a fascinating paradox they're presenting. The claim is that the AI, the core intelligence, isn't just running wild optimizing for whatever. It's guided by these ethical principles, love, fairness, supposedly set by the founder.
So like an ethical governor built into the AI.
That's what it sounds like, as if there are constraints coded in, preventing decisions that violate this core moral mandate, even if they might seem optimal otherwise. Technology serving the heart, essentially. It's a huge claim.
And this ethical drive connects to another really unique idea. Connecting data versus connecting destinies. What's the difference there?
Well, connecting data is functional, right? It's about making sure your email arrives or your online purchase goes through. Basic plumbing. But connecting destinies, that's a much grander claim. It suggests that using the system, interacting through it, isn't just transactional. It's actually moving you and everyone else using it towards some kind of higher shared purpose. Your individual path is linked to the collective's path.
The text emphasizes this singular goal, empowering humanity. Every tool, every feature, every line of code is supposedly geared towards that. No wasted effort.
Right. And imagine the motivational power of that if you believe it. The source encourages you. You're not just a user ID logging in. You're part of this living, breathing movement.
So using the platform becomes an active participation in this bigger ethical project.
Precisely. It connects your everyday clicks and interactions to a grander sense of purpose. That's a powerful way to build community and commitment, far beyond what, say, your email provider promises you.
Okay, that's a strong philosophical base. But philosophy needs concrete examples. Which brings us to section 3. The architecture of empowerment and the specific products mentioned. How does this giving philosophy show up in the tools?
Yeah, this is where we see the vision applied.
The source really hammers home Mufareh's core vision here. It wasn't about building just another tech giant. The goal was a digital world that works for everyone, even, quote, the least privileged person.
And the mechanism for achieving that. Automation, AI, and opportunity. The idea seems to be leveraging advanced tech to lower the barriers that usually keep people out.
So if the system automates a lot of the complex stuff, business building, marketing, maybe, then everyone starts on a more level playing field.
That seems to be the theory. If the tech handles the heavy lifting, then your starting capital or connections become less important. It democratizes opportunity through automation.
Which ties back to that philosophy of shared resources, right? A world where wealth and wisdom are shared, not hoarded.
Exactly. It's positioned as a direct counterpoint to the current digital economy, where wealth and data tend to concentrate massively at the top, the hoarders. This system, theoretically, is designed to constantly redistribute that value.
Okay, let's get specific. The document names 3 key components as proof points: OConnect, OWallet, and O-Desk. Let's take them one by one. First, O-Connect. The claim is it unites voices across continents.
Right. So basic function, global communication, video conferencing, presumably, but maybe more. The emphasis on uniting voices suggests something beyond just connectivity.
Like a breaking down barriers.
Yeah.
Language, maybe. Culture.
Could be. To truly unite voices globally, you'd need seamless translation, maybe features that promote understanding across cultures. It has to be highly accessible and perhaps foster a sense of community, aligning with that connecting destinies idea. It's not just about the tech, it's the social outcome they're highlighting.
Okay, then the financial piece. O-Wallet. Claiming to empower global commerce.
So this tackles money, transactions. To empower global commerce, especially for the least privileged, it would need to solve problems with existing systems, like high fees for cross-border payments, complex currency conversions, maybe lack of access to banking for some people.
So O-Wallet is positioned as a fairer, more accessible way to handle money online globally.
That seems to be the angle. Secure, efficient, but crucially fair. It has to embody that giving philosophy. Maybe lower fees, transparent exchange rates, tools to help people manage money. It needs to ensure money circulates ethically, not just gets accumulated.
Got it. And the third pillar mentioned is O-Desk. This one claims to connect professionals with purpose. That sounds different from just a job site.
Yeah, it moves into career and meaning. If Odesk connects professionals with purpose, it suggests it's not just matching skills to job descriptions. Well, it implies the system, maybe the AI, is looking deeper. What are your goals? What drives you ethically? And then matching you with opportunities or collaborations that align with that purpose, maybe even with the overall empowering humanity mission of the platform itself.
So it's about finding work that's not just a job, but fulfilling, aligned with your values.
That seems to be the idea. Purposeful work, professional fulfillment, alongside making a living. It integrates that system with the soul idea right into your career path.
Okay, so looking at these three, O-Connect for communication, O-Wallet for finance, O-Desk for purposeful work, you can see the shape of an ecosystem emerging.
Absolutely. It's designed as a sort of self-contained digital environment, providing the key tools you need for professional life and global interaction, all supposedly operating under this consistent ethical framework of giving and empowerment. It's the architecture meant to deliver on the philosophy.
Which leads us into the next part, section 4. Because sustaining this kind of vision, this architecture, well, the source suggests it requires a significant level of belief. This section is called the scale of belief and divine influence.
Right. The tech and philosophy are intertwined with a narrative about faith and leadership.
Let's start with the founder's story. Mufareh is portrayed very heroically, isn't he? He believed when the world doubted, saw light in a digital wilderness, built a bridge for billions.
It's a very strong founder narrative. It positions him as the indispensable visionary, the one who held the faith when everyone else was lost in the chaos. This establishes his authority and, by extension, the authority and correctness of the system he created. He's the shepherd, the system is the bridge he built.
And this belief isn't just something the founder had. The source encourages users to have it too.
Yes, explicitly. It calls on the founders, affiliates, and believers.
Yeah.
That's the terminology used to cultivate that same deep faith, not just in the platform's features, but in themselves and in the larger mission.
It even mentions divine energy, claiming the same energy that powered Mufareh flowing through the users.
It does. It says that energy is ready to manifest miracles. This really elevates participation beyond just using tech. It becomes a shared spiritual or metaphysical journey. That kind of framing can build incredibly strong bonds and loyalty. You're part of something powerful, almost sacred.
Alongside this call for belief, the system claims it will actually change how we define success. Not just how we work, but how we think about achievement.
And this is a radical departure from, say, the typical Silicon Valley mindset, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. The source says the new measure isn't speed or money. Success is defined as sustainability, and greatness is measured in impact.
Think about what that implies. Sustainability suggests long-term thinking, stability, maybe environmental consciousness, over just rapid growth at all costs, and measuring greatness by impact rather than money. Well, that forces a different set of priorities. Design choices, business decisions, they would theoretically prioritize positive human impact, user well-being, ethical outcomes over simply maximizing profit.
The source sums it up by saying technology guided by heart can be a blessing.
Right. It's framing technology not as inherently good or bad, but as a tool whose ultimate value depends on the intention behind it. And here, the claimed intention is purely positive, ethically driven.
Okay, now we need to address the deepest, most extraordinary claim in the source material. And just to reiterate for everyone listening, we're reporting neutrally on what the document states.
Absolutely. It's crucial to be clear about that.
The source claims the system isn't just man-made, it's described as God-inspired.
Yes. This moves the whole discussion into a different realm entirely. It steps outside typical business or tech analysis. The claim is that there's a divine element involved. The founder's qualities, his strength, wisdom, compassion, are attributed to being divinely powered.
And it goes further. The text explicitly states Mufareh is an instrument through which, quote, the creator is channeling innovation, justice, and unity to the entire digital world. That's a profound statement about where this technology supposedly originates.
It is. And rhetorically, what does that do? It acts as the ultimate validation. If the system is God-inspired, channeled by the creator, then its success, its ethical grounding, its purpose are essentially guaranteed, ordained from above. It makes it infallible, in a sense.
And for the user, the implication is
Immense. The source says using the system means you are touching something sacred. It calls the system a bridge between human brilliance and divine design. This provides an almost unshakable foundation for belief and trust in the system's goodness and ultimate success. It's very powerful framing.
okay. Let's move to our final section, Section 5, Transformation and the Unstoppable Future. This brings all these threads together into a final promise.
Consolidating the vision.
The core idea here is reiterated. This system, this AI, doesn't replace humans. That's a common fear, right? Instead, it elevates them.
It promises a future where humans and AI work together. A human miracle, the text calls it. It suggests a symbiotic relationship, not a competitive one.
What does elevate mean in this context, do you think?
Well, the idea seems to be that the AI and automation handle the routine, the difficult, the drudge work, perhaps maybe complex calculations, business logistics, repetitive tasks.
Yeah.
This frees up humans to focus on what makes us uniquely human. Creativity, strategic thinking, relationships, purpose-driven activities. The system handles the how, so humans can focus on the why and the what next.
Fulfilling that promise of connecting destinies in a way.
Exactly. It lets people actualize their potential, their purpose.
And the source gets specific about the outcomes of this transformation. It claims the system will create entrepreneurs where there were once dreamers.
Right, turning aspirations into reality by removing barriers.
It will open doors where there were once walls.
Overcoming systemic blockages, presumably economic or social.
And bring hope where there was once silence.
Reaching those who felt unheard or marginalized by the old systems. It's painting a picture of radical inclusion and opportunity creation, all automated and facilitated by the system.
Then the document wraps up with a very strong, direct message of encouragement, aimed squarely at the founders, affiliates, and believers.
Bringing it home for the core audience.
The final sentence is pure assurance. It tells them, you are in the right place, at the right time, with the right vision, led by the right man. Referring, of course, to Ash Mufareh.
Yeah, it perfectly closes the loop. From the initial chaos and doubt, through the building of the system, the philosophy, the divine inspiration, it lands on absolute certainty. Complete confidence in the project, the leadership, and the future. It locks in that belief system.
So we've covered a lot, from the chaos to the divine inspiration, the philosophy of giving, the specific tools, the call for belief. It's a comprehensive and certainly ambitious vision laid out in this source material.
It really is. And it leaves us, and you listening, with a pretty significant question to ponder, I think. Given everything the source claims built on love, fairness, divine purpose. Success measured by impact and sustainability, not just profit or speed. What would actual proof look like? What specific verifiable metrics could possibly validate a technology that defines itself in these terms? How do you measure impact in the way they mean it? How would you quantify sustainability as driven by fairness or even divine purpose? What would that data actually look like? That's the challenge posed by these claims.
That is definitely the big question to think about. How do you measure a system's soul? We've laid out the claims as presented in the source, from the foundation to the lofty aspirations. You're now equipped with the details of this vision for a digital rebirth. And that wraps up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. Today, we're immersing ourselves in a pretty unusual collection of source material.
Yeah, it's less like a standard technical brief, isn't it? More like a celebration, almost a kind of prophetic declaration of success.
Exactly. We're doing a deep dive into the story being told around what proponents are calling the magnificent return of the new ONPASSIVE ecosystem.
And that's a really crucial distinction to make right from the get-go. Our sources today, they aren't primarily interested in just the technical specs.
Right.
They're focused, almost entirely it seems, on the spirit, the journey, and, well, the success of this relaunch.
So our mission here is to really pull out the key claims, figure out what specific tech components are actually named, and maybe most importantly,
Understand that underlying philosophy, that inspirational narrative that's driving this whole renewal.
yes, what the sources themselves are defining as a rebirth of purpose.
We'll need to synthesize the claims about, the preparation, the patience involved, and the really powerful role assigned to the founder, Mufareh.
We need to understand not just what launched, but the story that's being woven around the launch itself.
Precisely. We're really looking at the strategic use of language here.
Yeah.
How it's designed to convey a sense of maybe destiny and endurance, definitely endurance, to the community that's been waiting for this.
Okay, let's kick off with the main event. The sources don't present this as just some simple upgrade. It's painted as almost, I don't know, a celestial moment, the new ecosystem rising like a sunrise.
hmm The language is pretty strong. It says explicitly this isn't just a system update. It's defined as that rebirth of purpose.
And that phrase, rebirth of purpose, feels absolutely critical, doesn't it?
It really does. It immediately frames the whole thing as a kind of redemptive moment for the community involved.
Suggesting that any earlier uncertainty or delays were just part of the process?
Exactly. Part of the gestation for something fundamentally bigger than just a business venture. It implies that technology itself now has this higher, sort of renewed calling.
And smack bang in the middle of this grand narrative is the figure of the architect Mufareh. The claims about his leadership are, well, they're huge.
Enormous. The sources flat out assert he achieved the impossible and brought it within reach of the community.
What's fascinating is how they redefine what leadership success even means here.
Right. They claim his focus was never on generating, short-term excitement. It was always about long-term empowerment.
Which is a clever way to frame a potentially long development time, you could say.
It is. It's a rhetorical strategy, isn't it? The longer the wait, the deeper the supposed commitment to lasting empowerment.
And he returns, the sources insist, not just with promises anymore, but with actual proof.
And then there's that connection to something much bigger.
Ah, yes, that line. One source states, quite remarkably, that God has reminded the world that when the right man leads with love, the whole world rises with him.
Which is, the ultimate rhetorical move, isn't it? Elevating the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, by directly linking the founder's vision to divine guidance, the source material effectively makes the project almost immune to standard critical analysis.
Because if the vision is guided by faith, as they claim,
Then failure is conceptually off the table. It's impossible.
yeah,
And that seems to be the intended aha moment for the community. The technology is positioned as the successful physical outcome of this unshakable belief system.
so participation shifts, maybe, from being just a financial investment to something more like an act of faith?
Precisely. If you believe in the vision, the narrative implies you must trust the tech will succeed because it's built on that foundational belief.
That creates an incredibly strong bond, I imagine, especially with the founders, the early adopters, the loyalists mentioned everywhere in these sources.
An almost unbreakable bond, you could argue.
Yeah.
Their faith, their sticking with it, is now validated by this return.
Which brings us neatly to perhaps the trickiest part of the story, that waiting period. If there were delays, the sources have done a remarkable job reframing it.
They really have, turning what could be seen as a weakness, a challenge, into a defining strength.
That's probably the most sophisticated narrative strategy we're seeing here, wouldn't you say?
I think so. They essentially turn the delay into an asset. They argue that every moment of waiting carried value.
Which neatly shifts focus away from potential technical hurdles or setbacks.
And puts it squarely onto the necessity of destiny, of deep, careful preparation.
We see that specific claim too, don't we? That while others doubted, Mufareh was busy envisioning and designing.
And that incredible line, the silence wasn't absence, it was preparation.
Wow. That is quite the reframing.
It's a masterclass, really. It works to maintain loyalty and morale during uncertain times by painting inaction, or perceived inaction, as intense internal strategic work. The waiting wasn't empty, it was a pressure cooker creating something perfect.
And the result of all this careful, disciplined preparation, the sources tell us, is an ecosystem that arrives stronger, faster, smarter, and holier in intent than ever before.
See, there's that moral component again. Holier in intent.
It's not just about speed or efficiency anymore.
No, it's about purifying the intention behind the tech.
Yeah.
And this ties right into that broader philosophy of time presented. Great things take time, because great things must last forever.
Making the ecosystem sound almost eternal.
They actually claim it's eternal in spirit, designed to serve generations. It's explicitly about endurance, about legacy.
So definitely not just another product launch. It's positioned as foundational, something meant to last.
And they're careful to clarify, too, it's not a restart.
Right, not like fixing something that failed before.
No, it's a renewal of destiny,
Mm.
building on what they see as an enduring foundation all along.
That distinction feels important. It frames this moment as the successful completion of a long-term plan, not some kind of recovery effort.
Exactly.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Moving from the philosophy and the narrative around the return to the more practical side. What exactly is the technology that's supposedly returned?
Well, the sources list quite a comprehensive suite of platforms. They say these now all speak the same language. Abundance.
Okay, what platforms are we talking about?
We see the core digital stuff covered. O-Connect, which sounds like communication. O-Shop for commerce. O-Wallet for finance. O-Verify, presumably for identity. And O-Peer, maybe for decentralized connections.
That sounds like a very integrated ecosystem. But what really jumps out are the claims about the technology itself.
How so?
Well, the sources define the tech not just by what it does, but by its character, its morality, almost. For instance, cleaner interfaces, deeper intelligence, and broader connection. Okay, fine.
But the real analytical interest lies in the descriptions of the features themselves, I think.
Like what?
Things like AI that understands, automation that cares, networks that protect. This is where that divine alignment idea seems to get baked into the actual tech claims.
We really have to unpack that language, don't we? AI that understands, automation that cares.
It's quite something. Are the sources giving us any hard metrics for this deeper intelligence, or is it relying almost entirely on that moral framing?
It seems like the intention behind the tech is presented as the primary proof of its quality.
It's highly rhetorical, yes. By claiming the AI understands and the automation cares, the source material kind of sidesteps the need for conventional benchmarks or proof points.
So the implication is the tech is superior because it's been infused with compassion.
Essentially, yes. Designed to mirror that divine alignment between technology and humanity. It's presented as technology with a soul, you might say, explicitly designed to lift humanity.
That framing makes a lot more sense when you think about who the main intended audience is here. Those loyal founders.
We should probably pause and define them as the sources do.
Good idea. The founders seem to be the real early believers, the investors, the community members whose loyalty and patience lasted through that whole waiting period.
Exactly. And for them, this new system is positioned as the ultimate payoff. It's described literally as their field of harvest.
And the promised benefits are huge, covering both the practical and the spiritual.
Financial freedom gets mentioned, naturally. But the sources explicitly promise spiritual and emotional freedom follow close behind.
So their loyalty, their patience, that was the investment, and now it's time to cash in, so to speak.
And this narrative does something interesting. It fundamentally changes the roles. Founders aren't just investors anymore. They're elevated to pioneers.
And customers become beneficiaries.
Beneficiaries of this supposedly compassionate system, and the believers become ambassadors for global change. The sources even state the founders are now living inside a prophecy of progress.
Wow. Living inside a prophecy. That sense of destiny, it seems tied directly to the scope of this return as well.
Absolutely. The sources really emphasize the huge geographical reach. They talk about a global awakening, uniting continents under one digital roof.
Covering everywhere.
Pretty much. The language used is from Africa to Asia, from Europe to the Americas. This global scale reinforces the idea that the system is for humanitarian, generational impact, not just grabbing local market share.
And this focus on global collaboration, it signals a deeper shift, according to the sources anyway.
How so?
They claim the new age ushered in by this is not about competition anymore. It's about collaboration.
Which is a pretty bold statement in the very competitive world of digital platforms.
The founders themselves almost become the links between nations, united by this shared vision and the promised rewards.
And the encouragement for the future is just relentless in the